Okay, so coming in from the video showing the run walk, this is the attack sequence. Okay, so the way this one works is again fairly simple. I had to end up doing some extra stuff with this to just make it work perfectly. I mean, that's really the biggest thing for me is to make things work really solidly, so you can't break them. Um, I I go through many iterations and I do many tests and things like that with button bashing and combinations of doing things and to try and basically weed out the problems and see if I can solve them inside Kismet directly. So this is one of them really. And I spoke about that kind of thing a little bit with disabling the events here. So when you push opposite keys, this here is very much a similar thing. Um, it's got what I'm doing here is on the pressed event is directly after pressing the button, I disable the event, and that's so you can't bash it, and it keeps running the event. And yes, the retrigger delay is there for that reason, but I've found that if you really keep bashing the button like a mad person, uh, this retrigger delay doesn't really do the job for me. It doesn't feel right. It sometimes feels like you get into a situation where something happens that isn't supposed to happen. Um, so the way I solved that is to simply on the press disable the event. So you can keep bashing as much as you like. That event does absolutely nothing. And at a time delay, 0.4 seconds there, re-enable it. So you can continue with the attack event there. So that's how I solved that problem. And it's something that technically you should be able to solve by simply putting a retrigger delay, but I just found that really abusing the buttons allows you to kind of screw up the sequence, and I don't want that. So I want total control and perfect. I want the sequence to always run perfectly no matter what you do. Uh, so anyway, run that, and uh, the multiplier I added here is just to slow the character down when you attack, so you don't run at speed and throw punches and things. You actually will slow down while you're punching and kicking and things like that. It's just a little bit more natural that way. So um, and then I've got a switch, and this switch will allow me to do any combo, any amount of combos that I want. So currently I've got just 2 attack animations, so I only have 2 sequences. Uh, Disregard that and that. That's stuff I used before, and I might explain why I don't use them anymore. Okay, so for the first sequence, I do a punch, and I think, yeah, okay. So for the first sequence, I do the punch and use matinee just to run that animation. And I also run a new event directly from matinee to do stuff like if you land the punch, what happens? So first, when that completes, set the movement speed back so you're not slow anymore, and set the index for the switch back to 1. So regardless of what you do, whenever you do any of these sequences, uh, it'll always get set back to 1, so you always end up right back at the punch. If you do nothing, you're at the punch. If you go through all the sequences, you're right back at the punch. So that's just a reset. During the sequence, when it calls for the damage, it'll actually, at this point, it'll actually launch a projectile, which is currently what I use to apply damage to enemies. And I kill the projectile within 0.03 seconds. So the reason for that is so that it's a punch, it's not a gun that you shoot, so it's got a limited range, and that's how I create the limited range. I destroy the projectile before it goes beyond the reach of the character. And then I set the index to 2. So when you button mash, you'll punch, and if you keep bashing it, it'll go into the next sequence, which is the kick. So that's your combo 2, and it does the exact same thing. It'll slow down the speed, because there it speeds it back up, and then it reruns the sequence based on bashing, button bashing, or if you push it in a timed fashion. It'll slow it back down, and then it'll run the kick. Same thing. It runs the kick animation, and it also calls a damage event. Again, same thing. It throws a projectile, and this delay is a little longer because your feet reaches a little further, and it throws it back to index 1, which goes right back into the punch. So you can kick, punch kick, punch kick, punch kick, or if you punch and you pause a little, you'll punch again. If you pause a little, you'll punch again, and so on and so on. And yeah, so that's the attacks as it is right now, and I'll explain some other stuff in the next video.